Okay, recording. Hello everybody. I'm going to take another shot at the making the oil lamp bodies and LEDs. I shot it the first time, but honestly my wheel was so loud the audio was terrible, so I'm going to reshoot it. If you notice the other parts of the video, I'm not wearing the same shirt. It's a different day. So you've already seen the little lamps. We're going to throw these on the hump today, and so I'm going to kick the wheel, which isn't so hard to do. So what I'm going to do is just kind of figure out the amount I need here, guesstimate. This is how people through pottery for many centuries, before the advent of the electric wheel came along. So I'm just taking out as much as I need, which you have to sort of do with practice. I've done a few of them before, and I'm just figuring out the bottom here, and put my finger in there to give it kind of a square corner. So yeah, the last time I threw on a kick wheel was in high school, because you had to prove you could you knew what you were doing before they'd let you work on the electric wheels. And actually the electric wheels were the very same model I have here that I got when I was in high school. So not this particular one, but one just like it, which I managed to lose somehow over the years. But so I'm just going to pull up the simple walls here, and anytime you're pulling up a cylinder you want to pull into the middle, because the natural tendency with the Klein centrifugal force is to go out and you want it to stay in, so you overcompensate, pull into the middle. And so those lamps aren't very big, and I'm going to figure out the bottom first here. While you've got it at this stage, you can use the finger on the inside and the finger on the outside and kind of judge the distance to figure out the depth or the thickness of your bottom. You don't want it too thin and you don't want it too thick, so you have to get it just right, like Goldilocks. So I'm just going to pull up a simple shape here, and once I get that, I'll introduce my little gauge I use to figure out the lid, because the size of the lid is very important on this one, because you're doing a set. And anytime you're doing a set, you want them to match. You don't want to have to do one for every pot. So what I have here is for the oil. Oops, it says that template. Anyway, it's basically just a credit card, and I have the size I want the lid to be. So I have to make the ridge, or where the lid sits into the groove on there, a certain size. And if you're accurate and if you pay attention, you can get it the right size. I'm just going to make it I got a little more meat to play with here. So I'm just going to use my gauge, check it. Okay, that's pretty good, because I'm going to make this wider here, and use my thumbs to get the, and what I can do is I keep on checking this gauge all the time. Check it to make sure it's gonna fit in there nicely. And you'll see when I do the lids, it'll make sense, because I'm gonna use the same template but allow a little bit of room in there. So what I'm gonna do is use my thumb, the square part of my thumb, so the lid has a nice place to rest inside. It's worth spending a little extra time to get this right, because if it don't fit, then it don't fit. Then it's going to be a hassle. The rest of the process is going to be no fun at all. So look at that. I'm going to get my handy little leather strip, and this leather strip, it just smooths out your ridge very nicely. And get nice little grooves. Now I'm going to undercut here, so when I cut it off, you'll have a nice simple little groove to cut it off with. I'm going to go in here and make a nice little undercut right there for my wire. And you can lay it down here, and come around, and then whoop, once it's through. And guess what I did? I'm not even going to say what I did, but anyway, I'll just pretend like it worked perfectly. Look at that, isn't that great? Hello. But That's how you do that part. So we'll just ignore that and get onto the lid. I'll try to cut out the parts where I'm kicking the wheel, because you know, who wants to watch that? So now let's pull up a little bit for the lid, and not very much, because the lid's not very big, so it's easy to take too much clay at this stage. Very, very easy to take too much clay, and then you're faced with having to get a wire, get a needle and cut it off, which I don't want to do. So I'm just going to go like this, come in, sort of visualize how big it is. So pull it out, just thin it out. Critical part here. Refer to our handy gauge. Now you can see it's just a little bit small. I'm going to flatten out just a smidge and get a little more size. Thickness about right. And then I'm going to get my little smoother gizmo, which is supposed to go back in the water. Smooth it out. And now same thing with the bottom. I'm going to undercut with my little magic tool here. Wire. Same deal. Come around full revolution rather. It comes off. And that's it. And this one should fit right nicely into the body of the other one. Good. We'll move on to the rest of the assembly, and I'll see you in a while. So here we are at next phase of the project here. I have created the lids, as you saw, in the bodies, and they fit rather nicely. I don't say so myself. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create the little handle on the side, and for that I'm going to use this fella. This I don't know, piece of wire, and creates a nice shaped tube of clay, and same ones I use for my handles. Actually created a long time ago. I made this one specifically for my handles, but it's useful for a lot of other things. Separate that, get it out, take it out, I don't want to damage it at all. Now I get my tube, put that over there. Now here's my tube clay. What I'm going to do is create the little handles. I'm going to take slices, and just for the sake of the demonstration, I'll just do a couple here. And let's do one to show the procedure. What I'm going to do is I have a little stamp, and I'm going to create a kind of a triangle shape for these. Push them down a bit. Actually, that's a little small. Let's do a bigger one. Let's do a thicker one, because I want to create a triangle shape. Basically a triangle shape on the side. And I'm also going to squish it down a little bit, round it off a bit. And you have a shell. Can you see that little pretty shell? I made this out of a impression of a shell. And use that for the shape, basic shape of it. And I use a bisque. These are a bisque mold. And what I'll do now is I take the lid. I'm going to attach this onto here to the edge in such a way that it clears the lip. I'll just use some of my slip stuff here. I'm going to create a little blob here of it. Let's put a little blob on here, and this acts like glue. And this is going to go on there, and I'm just going to very carefully put it on here so it grabs. And when you're doing it, when you're wiggling it around, there's a moment where you feel it grabbing the clay, and then the what's happening is the slip you put on there is joining the two pieces, the lid part and the new little part I put on. So it's making them want to come welding it together. And how I want to check it now, because it's going to be a snuffer as well as a stand. So I'm going to put that as a stand, so I want to make sure it clears it. So I might have to do a little bit of massaging here so it clears it to make it into a stand. And also it has to go fit in here and not bang into this, so it's kind of clears it here. And that's all there is to that part. Now let's move on to the wick holder. Okay, we're back, and I've gone ahead and prepared this slab of clay, and you could roll this out any way you want. Probably a rolling pin's going to work better. I just, for the sake of the size of my table here, fitting in this video, I just rolled out with a pin I use for other things. What I'm going to do is create a tube that goes down inside of the jar. And what I do, it's very simple. Very simple. I just cut a strip, basically, probably more than I need, and I simply use a pen. Any kind of cylindrical object will work, and pen's good. Everybody has them around. You want to make sure that you roll it so that am I getting it here? I'm going to put more pressure on so I can take it off, because all you need is to be able to get stuck on so it doesn't come off. Not easy. So once you've got the tube, and tube that big, and the pen gives me a consistent size, and then I want to shorten it because I'm going to roll this around here. And obviously, if I'm doing a quantity of them, I'm going to do them a little different, but this kind of shows the basic technique. And that's where the wick goes. As I saw in the other one, the wick will go inside of here. And now what I want to do is figure out the length of it. And here's my happy little lid. And all I do is I put this down inside, and I want to go on an angle down, because the snuffer is rounded, so it has the space above there, cuts off the air, puts out the candle, but it can't be any higher than that rim. So I'm just going to go in and make a mark here like that, and then I know how big to make it. So it's always good to cut it with something inside, like the pen inside. Otherwise, it's so soft that it's just going to make a big mess. So do it like that, cut it off, gather up all my clay, pull this out. Just going to tap it. And what makes the whole thing work, it allows the oil to come up, is I'm going to carve a little notch on the bottom there, so that it's the oil has a chance to get from the bottom of the jar into the wick, up the wick and into the flame, and we get light. So that's all I do. And the new ones, I've been offsetting them so that they're not right in the middle. I actually have to have them offset a little bit so that oops, come on. That when I put the oil in, I have room to put it in. The other ones, I had it right in the middle, and it limited the amount of space you had to put it in. So that's about it. I just attach those in there. Lids are on. You go in there, and that's your oil lamp. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.